So just before we head to Old Trafford for our live coverage of Manchester United versus Brighton in the Premier League matchup, we will give you the third round replay scores and what that means for the draw of round 4. We'll start at Lincoln, and they lost by 3-1 against Rochdale. The only penalty shootout in this replay bracket was Sunderland and Shrewsbury. They went to penalties after a 2-2 draw after 120 minutes of football. Shrewsbury progressed 4-3 on penalties, eliminating the championship side Sunderland. So a big scalp for the Minnows, Shrewsbury, and they were into the round 4 draw as a result. Chelsea beat Wycombe by 4-0 after drawing the original matchup. The same can also be said for Arsenal beating Swansea by 4-0, while elsewhere Stoke City beat Aston Villa by 2-0, and Cardiff progressed past Blackpool by 1-0. Meaning for the round 4 draw, Burnley will take on Wigan Athletic at Turf Moor. It's Ewood Park, the destination for Leicester City, as they'll take Blackburn Rovers. Brentford will take on Nottingham Forest, and Carlisle's reward for beating Manchester City last time is another Premier League trip, or visit rather, of Brighton. Derby County will take on Millwall, Middlesbrough will take on Southampton, Spurs and Wolves is an all-Premier League side, while Cardiff take on West Brom from the Championship. Rochdale will take on Watford in a Premier League kind of big day for them. And it's an all-Premier League tie between Chelsea and Manchester United. It doesn't get any easier for the former holders, does it? After getting past Liverpool, now they have to pass another one of the top 5 Premier League top 5 in Chelsea. But remember, against the big clubs, Gregg Popovich has been hugely successful so far. Crystal Palace will take on Leeds, and Huddersfield will take on Arsenal in another all-Premier League matchup. Queen's Park Rangers will take on West Ham United. Barnsley will take on Stoke City. Shrewsbury will have a matchup against the visit of Everton. And Reading will take on Newcastle United. 2019 is in full swing. And today is another one of those matchups that Gregg Popovich probably just wants to navigate after learning of the draw earlier this week for round 4 of the FA Cup. And would you believe it, he's got another big team to deal with, another one of the top 5 in Chelsea, another team that he scored a lot of goals against in the Premier League first matchup, and that is part of the 45 goals that United have scored this season. And as you can probably tell from the squad, if you looked this morning in the report, you will see a lot of rather unfamiliar names in the regular starting 11. As once again, Gregg Popovich is forced to kind of bring his squad rotation magic to the team today. Joel Pereira will start in goal then. Tuanzebe is with Chris Wally, Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo and Diego Dallo. So it is a very experienced defence. Angel Gomez is with Aaron Henwood, and Tahir Chong actually plays behind the 2 strikers today. And then Danny Williams and Wilfred Zaha. For Chris Hughton's side today, Ryan will start in goal. And his defence is Montoya with Balgarin, Moore and Bernardo in the back there. Jan Roelhirsch is with Diwawa, Prepper and Iquizano. And Grafi is playing behind Androne, who I believe signed in the first window. Tahir Chong still yet to score his first ever Manchester United goal. But in the under-18s, he's lining it up, isn't he? That awesome free kick they scored just recently. And if you have been in the news over the last couple of days, it is obviously very much a rumour, but you would know about the speculation that Gareth Southgate has now possibly been on the shortlist for Gregg Popovich's replacement should he move on at the end of next season. Of course, that would be a very slim chance as of right now, because obviously with his England commitments as the national team. My thoughts on that, it'd be a very good fit, wouldn't it? Gareth Southgate really showed his mettle in the World Cup by not really relying on people that a lot of England fans were rather surprised by his team reaction. That's Tae Chong. Oh, he's done it. Tae Chong has finally done it. He's scored for Manchester United and then won up against Brighton. And finally there's a goal for Tae Chong. He is, he has been on the cusp so many times. And, where were Brighton's defence here? Just absolutely nowhere. And I think that would have been a hint of offside against Tae Chong, but it's not. And that's poor defending for Brighton, to be honest. It really is. And they should have picked him up better. But, wow, what a goal for Tae Chong. Great header. And, if we are to believe Gregg Popovich, this kid will be tearing up Premier League teams in the very near future. And finally, he's got his first goal. He's hit the bar and the woodwork on many occasions this season. But finally, he gets one over the line. And Manchester United are up by a goal to nil. Well, we've been reporting this for a few weeks now, but it finally happened as Jan Vertonghen was one of 3 players in the space of a week that left Spurs to go to Juventus. Well, in Jan Vertonghen's case, it would be Juventus. I think Danny Rose was Napoli, and Kieran Trippier also left for the Bundesliga. Oh, and a header there, and we got 2 quick-fire goals. It's on Donne who makes it 1-0, and once again, Manchester United just having holes in the defence. And we're going to be treated to a lot of goals today. It really is a carbon copy of Chong's goal, isn't it? It's literally a carbon copy. No one picks Andone up at all. And it's a good header by Joel Pierre. He's not saving that. And we've been singing his praises, but once again, Manchester United just loose at the back. And I think it's going to be hard, because I don't think Gregg Popovich really wants to change his squad too much. I think he'll probably... we've all been kind of guessing what he will do in the case of the left back with Luke Shaw. Obviously, Diego Dallo's playing there today. But we've all been kind of trying to guess what he'll do. There's not been any official word. We've got another goal coming in. I believe Burnley have actually scored against, I think it was Watford there by a goal to nil. That's Gunnarsson, I believe. And Burnley have had a really good season. They're in the top 4 at the moment, or at least on the verge of it. One of the previous matchups that Gregg Popovich is really giving credit to the opposing teams, because they really do seem to score good goals when they do score against Manchester United. They've been really well taken goals, and to be fair, he's right. There's Gomez, Danny Williams, Zaha, and in comes Chong again! Oh, he scored again! And now we're going to see a bunch of goals for D.F. Chong. We might do. That might have opened the door. And it's Chong again. And he seems to finally have found his way to the back of the net. And that's 2 he scored in one game after struggling to score all season long. Now he's got 2 and he's on for a hat-trick. Wonderfully taken goal from Chong. And he's obviously showing his... goal-scoring prowess there. He seems to be in the perfect position today behind the 2 strikers. Finally, he's getting his ways to score. Well, after hitting the woodwork and a dubious amount of times, Tae Chong has got 2 in one match. Manchester United back ahead by 2-1 to be in his plans, and we can see now why. Williams off the bar. The referee is he pointing to the spot? He's booking more, so that means a penalty, I'm sure of it. I'm sure that means a penalty. See if Chong takes the shot. Oh, and Danny Williams is took out. That's a penalty, surely. And we have a penalty here for Manchester United, and Aaron Hillman's going to take it. I think the last one he had was saved. So this will be interesting. This is to put Manchester United 3-1 up. And he scores it convincingly. Never any doubt at all. Aaron Hillman buries another one. Well, Danny Williams, we hope he's okay. He took quite a knock there, but no goalkeeper in the league is saving that from Aaron Hillman. That is emphatic. Trademark right foot. Whoa, he put some venom in that, didn't he? Well, he might be approaching his 30th birthday, but he can still hit with the best of them from the penalty spot. Aaron Hillman makes it 3-1. And that's his second goal in the league this season, following one from Crystal Palace, if you remember. It was a well-taken goal he took. And another one for his captain. And Manchester United seem to be in one of those moods. 3 goals in the first half hour plus. We don't even reached the first half yet, or the end of it. So we might have more goals before this game's done. 3-1 to United now. And that is the end of the first half. Well, 4 goals in this first half. It's been a sensational game of football so far. And despite the equaliser after Chong's opener, and then Manchester United just went into higher gear and they've put themselves a bit out of sight at the end of this first half. There's a brace for Chong after so many attempts at coming very, very close. He gets a brace today. Aaron Henwood also scoring for the penalty shot after a really rough tackle on Danny Williams. And he makes it Manchester United 3, Brighton 1. Tahir Chong, after so many unfortunate attempts where he didn't score, is on for a hat-trick all of a sudden. Let's hope he gets it. Looks like Jesse Lingard is warming up for Manchester United, so does that mean spell the end for Tahir Chong for this afternoon? Let's hope not, but in any case, oh, here he comes! Tahir Chong, surely! Yes! Hat-trick for Tahir Chong! And it looks like he could be going off because Jesse Lingard is warming up, and it looks like the last action of Tahir Chong in this game is to get his hat-trick. What a blinding game Tahir Chong has had today. We have witnessed the rise of this kid. And he takes advantage of the nick off the Brighton player, and he wasn't missing, not today. Tahir Chong is not missing today. Beautifully took goal. And Jesse Lingard has come on for Tahir Chong in all that. And just in time, Tahir Chong got his hat-trick here. He's not gone off. Who is this for? I'm pretty sure it is. It is. There he goes. And well, what a game he's had. Absolute blinder from Tahir Chong today. He's had 0 all season. He's hit the woodwork almost about 5 times over the course of this year. In the Champions League, I think once or twice. But finally, Tahir Chong doesn't get just 1 goal. He's got 3 of them. And Manchester United have 4. And it's proven once again the case today. 4 goals to 1 winners for Manchester United. But it was all about that man today. Tahir Chong, the rise of Tahir Chong, as he finally makes good on Gregg Popovich's promise that he will tear up teams for the future today. He's made the biggest statement of all and got the hat-trick he probably so rightly deserves after having so many games and going through a barren streak. But that boy, if we are to believe Gregg Popovich, he will be a name for the future, Manchester United's future. And what a better place for a kid to start. As Aaron Henwood will tell you, he got the penalty today. Manchester United 4, Tahir Chong 3, and Aaron Henwood 1, Manchester United 4, Brighton 1. So the Premier League has changed again, and we're going to have a look at the scores today and what that means for the table. Let's start at St Mary's, where Southampton have made their own mark on the Premier League title race by beating Everton, who were to the table toppers at the start of the day. Now Manchester United are back at the top with their win at Brighton. Everton losing by 2-0 against Southampton today. Watford have lost to Burnley by 1-0, so they continue their charge towards the top 4. Bournemouth and West Ham ending in a 2-2 draw, and it just doesn't seem to get any better for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, with no win in quite some time now. The latest draw is a 0-0 draw against Huddersfield, and the loss of Sergio Aguero will only hit them even more than they already were. They were on a horrible streak, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better for them. Liverpool finally getting some reprieve in this Premier League season, beating Palace by 3-0. Manchester United 4-1 winners against Brighton, as we just witnessed. Newcastle beating Cardiff, actually, was a 1-0 draw. Fulham beat Spurs by 2-1. And later on in the weekend, Wolves and Leicester held each other to a draw. Wolves and Leicester held each other to a 0-0 draw, and probably is to be expected, really. Arsenal lose to Chelsea by 2-0. That means for the table, Manchester United take back the lead at the top by a point, thanks to St Mary's handing them a favour in their charge towards the title. They have that game in hand back, of course, as well. Chelsea also had that game in hand, and they have a chance to kind of catch Everton up now with their most recent results. Now they wanted Arsenal. That has closed the gap within 3 points of Everton and 4 of Manchester United. There just might be a bit more of a title race yet. Burnley still in the top 4, and thanks to Spurs losing and then winning, they have cemented that position by a matter of points. Now they're 3 points clear of Spurs and Manchester City, and the fall of Manchester City has probably aided Burnley the most, and they are looking at a Champions League spot. Incredible season for Sean Dyche and his team. Spurs in 5th with Manchester City in 6th on equal points. West Ham United have come from absolutely nowhere this season, and obviously the loss of their players over the last 2 windows hasn't really affected them too much. They're 7th, and they're having a great year. Leicester City in 8th, ahead of Liverpool, who have jumped up to 9th. Wolves in 10th, and Arsenal, well, they don't seem to be getting any better either. Now they're back outside the top 10 under Unai Emery in 11th place. Still to play for, though. Southampton in 12th with their win at Everton today. Bournemouth in 13th, Brighton 14th. Palace, Watford and Newcastle completing the safe zone. Huddersfield, with their point at City, pulled them to within a point of safety. Fulham are there with Cardiff, who are continuing to struggle and probably look like the first candidates to go down, but never count anyone out of this Premier League so far. It has been a classic season, and it all just keeps changing. It's been quite the year, hasn't it? City look like running away with it. Everton at one point led the table, and now Manchester United are back at the top, and Everton have dropped a result. We don't really know what's going to happen this season. It's been what we said at the beginning, one of the most unpredictable in years. So in this transfer report, we'll start with Crystal Palace, who have just acquired the services of Patrick van Aanholt from Newcastle United for a cool just under £5 million for them. Elsewhere, Charlie Daniels has left Bournemouth, and what is it with all these players leaving Bournemouth? Charlie Daniels has left them to join the D. Alvarez club for £2.5 million. But Bournemouth is such a promising team, but everyone seems to have left them over the last 2 windows. It's rather a surprise. The big rumour is that Jamie Vardy, the top scorer in the Premier League so far, is in high demand, but we don't really know where he's going to end up yet. He was an Arsenal target at one point, don't forget. Southampton have completed the signing of Alexander Zekalov from Spartak Moscow. That could be a good signing for Southampton. They're having a good year, so it could be a good place to kind of end up for him. West Ham have sold off Mikel Antonio for Sampdoria. Is that Antonio? Yes, it is, I think. What a strange letting go of Pellegrini. That's unfortunate. I guess they have an art image, but that's a strange one. The big news actually comes out of Germany today, as it appears that Ivan Perisic has left Inter Milan to join Bayern Munich for £58.5 million, and that's a coup for Bayern Munich, that's for sure. And don't forget, we could see them in the Champions League up against Manchester United, who, you remember, they both faced off in the American Challenge Cup final, and they won that Bayern Munich. And as you can see, a lot has progressed since then. So this is all really shaking up for a pretty tasty Champions League when it all's said and done in this window. But still, no purchases for Manchester United. Speaking of them, though. We'll continue with the transfer news, and finally Spurs have bought a player after having 3 players leave in a week. Now they finally bought one. It's Bounounya Sarr from Marseille club for £11 million. And sticking with Marseille, well, we don't know if there's a clear out or a revolution at Bournemouth. They've lost another player. This time Callum Wilson has left them to join Marseille for £14.9 million. It's quite a sad sight to see everyone want to leave Bournemouth for some reason. RB Leipzig have completed the signing of Matthew Loughton from Burnley for £10.2 million, while Leicester have signed the Schalke man Alessandro Schmidt for £14.4 million. Huddersfield have made another signing, Maximilian Eggestein from Werder Bremen. £12 million. It seems that Dave Varnett certainly has the money to spend. He made a lot of signings in the summer window too. Transfer window might be drawing to a close, but if reports are to be believed, it doesn't look like anyone will be going in or out of Manchester United, and that can only be good news considering their form this season. The final game before the window closes for them is against Burnley today, and I believe in the first matchup it was pretty much a rather convincing win. I think after a goal scare by Gunnarsson actually. And, well, since then, that has told the entire story. One of the best defensive team in the league, only following Manchester City's slump, however, since they lost at the Etihad Stadium earlier in the season at Manchester Derby. That has only happened since. So, realistically, Manchester United should only be second or third. Conceding is a problem, just not the lacking of conceding. Well, David De Gea is in goal today. Tuifusi Manzares, Smalling, Jones, Rocha, and Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. Herrera is with Aaron Hemwood in the midfield today, both captains on the pitch, and ahead of them is Jesse Lingard. It's a new look up front today as Danny Williams is paired up with Alex Hunter. Man of the hour, Tahiv Chong, is only making the bench today. Burnley team looking like this. Tom Heaton, of course, in goal against his former club. Barnsley is with Michele Tonzoghi and Ward in the defence. And the midfield, it's Gunnarsson who scored in the reverse matchup. Cork, Henderson and Brady are with him. Up front, it's Hendrick, and he plays behind Chris Wood up front. You see, no doubt Mason Greenwood, that has been a rather rising star in the young ranks. And he's been very adamant of racing Greenwood, so I think we'll probably see him rather soon. Herrera! Oh, an absolute stunner. Ander Herrera. I think that's his first of the season. And it's a great shot. And, well, if your midfield can hit shots like that, who needs strikers? And Gregg Popovich is probably looking at the consolidation again, but once again, no matter who comes out against Manchester United, they seem to score and they seem to win. I think Tom Heaton probably should be doing better here. And he probably should have saved that, actually. I don't think there's many debates about that. It's a mistake by the keeper because it's not the best shot from Herrera. But they all count. And that's his first goal of the season. His Gregg Popovich's captain has got the ball rolling, although Aaron Hemwood has got the armband today. But I don't think there can be any surprise in that. He is Manchester United's most experienced player now, all on his own. Smalling. Gone down. The referee has given no foul. I do believe he got the ball first. I think Smalling probably made more of a meal of that than he probably should have. He's probably lucky not to go into the book himself, to be honest. Henderson with the shot! Oh my word! Henderson, what a goal! Well, we're getting all sorts of stunners here today. Henderson on the strike of half-time, and yet again another absolute stunner beating David De Gea. They are really earning their goals against Manchester United. Burnley, aren't they? Another absolute stunner, this time by Henderson. Beating David De Gea, not a chance. And maybe Chris Smalling getting in his way. Oh, it's a stunning shot. And, oh, maybe it takes a nick off Chris Smalling, but even if it does, David De Gea is not saving that in a million years. Sean Dyche, probably one of the future candidates for Manchester United, although that won't be coming for some time yet. But fourth goal for Henderson in the league for Burnley, and it's an absolute rocket. And we're back level. United 1, Burnley 1. We're getting some screamers here today. Usually, when Aaron Hemwood does that, his level of play rises and he tries to do his best for his team in a desperate situation. It's not desperate for Manchester United. They do have advantages in the league. I think it is a game in hand, obviously, with their cup commitments coming up as well. But Burnley just hanging on in there again, aren't they? Another absolute stunner for them. Equalises the scoreline after Ander Herrera done something brilliant himself. We're getting some screamers here at Old Trafford. United 1, Burnley 1. And with Manchester United just slowing the play down a little bit. Brilliant pass. And Danny Williams, he's in. 2-1. And it's Danny Williams again. Just seems to make it look easy, Danny Williams. And that swagger from Danny Williams, he certainly is confident. You have to love that about him, really. He may appear a bit of aloof and overconfident sometimes, but I think Danny can back it up. He's got the upper body strength to deal with that, and quite a good shot on him too. And he's put United ahead here in a game that, you know, probably doesn't take much priority over the FA Cup and future bigger fixtures, but as we've said, no matter what United seem to put out and do, they seem to pull through. Danny Williams' 4th goal of the league this season. Not bad for his return, to be honest. And it means United are back ahead, and this could be a vital 3 points with the matches coming up. United 2, Burnley 1, and Williams has picked out his buddy Alex Hunter. And nothing doing there for Hunter on that occasion. But he's making his own cases. With Jackson. Oh, Hunter, brilliant. Oh, and a brilliant cross into Williams. Oh, that was wonderful. That was absolutely pitch perfect from United. How did Hunter get that in? And the two friends have combined it well there. Absolutely great goal. And Hunter, he just makes the impossible happen. Look at this flick. Absolutely caught his Burnley defender cold in a first time cross. And a great header by Williams. That's his game. That was brilliant. Manchester United deservedly 3-1 up. Hunter and Williams absolutely making Burnley look silly. Oh, that first time touch from Hunter. Majestic considering the circumstances, and Williams read it coming as well. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Gregg Popovich, that's a goal even he'll admire. United 3, Burnley 1. A terrific goal. Hunter ball. Hunter. Henwood looks up. He shoots. Oh! Aaron Henwood bringing it onto his more favoured right foot. And he's not far off, is he? Oh, he's taking the deflection. Oh, interesting. Well, it's going to force United into a corner. Dallo. And it's fallen to... Oh, it's fallen to Danny Williams. I think that is. I'm not sure who that is. I think it's Williams. It's Marcus Rojo. 4-1 to United. More goals. And I don't know what this Burnley defence was doing there. It's absolutely poor. Really. Well, corner in from Dallo. What happened here? Absolute calamities. And Rojo. Oh, he makes that look easy. And it was. It was rather a gift, to be honest. Danny Williams threw himself at it. And that's poor defending for Burnley. That should not be a goal. But he'll take it. It's another 3 points for Gregg Popovich and his side, and maybe, just maybe, United could be on for title 21. And if they keep scoring like this, it's going to be more than easy. 4-1 to United today, and a pretty comfortable win in the end, despite a great strike that brought Burnley level after Herrera's opener, but it was all Manchester United in the second half. And just like that, United, as they've done so many times before this season, turned the screw and left Burnley in the dust. United 4 rather, Burnley 1. So for the final matches of January and what that means for the league table as of now, Arsenal will start the Emirates with a 3-1 thumping of Cardiff, and hopefully that'll be a kickstart to Emery's season. He needs it. Bournemouth won, Chelsea won, putting a bit of a dent in Chelsea's rise through the table. And thanks to Eddie Howe, that gives the top two some breathing space. Fulham losing to Brighton by a goal to 0, and they're rooted to the bottom and staying there as of now. We'll have a look at the full table in a second. Wolves winning 2-1 against West Ham at Molineux, and that coincided with United to win at Burnley today. Elsewhere, and other days, Southampton losing to Crystal Palace by 3-1, and finally there's a bit of a reprieve for Manchester City. They've won by a goal to nil, but has their slump taken them out of the title race for good? Liverpool winning 2-1 at Leicester City at Anfield. Manchester United stay at the top of the table and are now about 4 points clear of Everton at the top. Just maybe the breathing space that Coach Pop may just need. Chelsea in the third. They could have gone to tied for second, but for their draw at Bournemouth. Spurs quietly going about their business, to be honest, and now they've gone into the top four or regained the spot, really. They've gone ahead of Burnley, who were thumped by United, and Spurs were the ones that took advantage actually they've got a game in hand over Burnley now, so that might play into the hand. If Spurs actually win and keep going, they might actually throw themselves in there. They're not far off the top. They're 9 points off the top, but there's plenty of points still to be gained. Manchester City's win at Newcastle could be crucial. They're just outside the top four as their goal difference took a hammering, and that is why they're down in P6. Liverpool have shot up the table all of a sudden, and now they're up to 7th with Wolves 8th. Arsenal get into the top 10 as their season may have just got kick-started. West Ham, despite their loss against Wolves, stay in the top 10, equal on points with Arsenal having a better goal difference. Leicester 11th with Southampton 12th, Brighton in 13th, followed by Bournemouth, Palace, Watford and Newcastle United. And at the bottom, it's pretty much as you were, I believe. Huddersfield have a game in hand over Fulham and Cardiff, and they also have a game in hand over Watford. But all the teams at the bottom, pretty dire at the moment. Huddersfield look like they're most like getting out, in Cardiff, well, they're just having a wretched time of it at the moment, and they are down at the bottom. Alright, so we will start the final transfer report of the January transfer window. We will start at Juventus, as there is going to be no news coming out of Old Trafford, we believe, in terms of signings or sellings, so we won't be probably going there at all throughout the day. So we'll start with Juventus instead, who have gone with a wealth of experience in the form of centre-back Thiago Silva from Paris Saint-Germain for £15.7 million. It has been a disastrous window, to say the least, for Tottenham Hotspur, and they have lost yet another player in the form of Ben Davies, who has gone to Fenerbahce for £22.6 million. And is Mauricio Pochettino actually having a say in any of this? Because there's no way he'd let go of any of the players that have left so far. It really does make you wonder, is Manchester United in his future, perhaps? They've been very coy on it, but a lot of players have been leaving Spurs. You have to think maybe there's some truth to it, possibly. Elsewhere, Borussia Dortmund have completed the signing of Napoli fullback Fonazi Gordalam, sorry if I butchered that name, for £21.1 million. We reported in the Burnley game that Rodrigo has left Valencia to join Liverpool for £49.8 million. Chelsea have actually made a signing. It's Jose Gaya, and he's joined from Valencia as well. So two players leaving Valencia in the space of a day or so. Well, we've got some huge latest breaking news coming through here. We'll start at PSG Hoffenheim, who have completed the moving on to Brighton of Kevin Jojit for £19.1 million, as the small teams continue to splash the cash in the Premier League. There's been so shortage of funds for them this season. Now, Christian Pulisic has gone to Werder Bremen from Borussia Dortmund. If I remember rightly, I believe Christian Pulisic actually moved teams quite recently, and he's moved again. He's gone to Werder Bremen now. I'm pretty sure he signed from another team. I could be wrong, but I do remember Christian Pulisic's name coming up before now. But in any case, he's off to Werder Bremen now in the Bundesliga, so he's staying put there. Huge signing for Bayern Munich. Mendelef Beria has joined them from AS Monaco, the centre back there, so he's joined there. But there's a huge news coming out of France, and it's that Jamie Vardy has left Leicester City to join Napoli for £28.2 million, and Leicester City now they could be in huge trouble. Jamie Vardy is a huge loss to any club, and Leicester, well, they've got to find someone fast now because that is the biggest loss of all for them. Well, this is a huge surprise. Fulham have sealed the deal of Jesse from Paris Saint-Germain for £11.3 million. What a coup that is. Meanwhile, in Italy, Eric Lamela has, he's left Spurs. It's an absolute disaster at Tottenham Hotspur for this transfer window. Eric Lamela has now left them for £20.8 million to Inter Milan, and I'm out of words. Mauricio Pochettino's squad is falling apart. Wow. Meanwhile, AS Monaco, I'm stunned. AS Monaco have signed, no, I take that back. Atletico Madrid, have signed Djibril Sidibe from AS Monaco. And what will look to be the final deals of deadline day, well, Lyon have signed Felipe from FC Porto for 22.6. And Dunlier Decore has left Watford and has gone to Roma for £37.8 million. And I guess finally, Newcastle United have actually made a signing, and it's from Inter Milan for £11 million for the wide midfielder Antonio Candelaria. Sorry if I butchered that name.